This is one of those courtroom moments that will leave you completely shaken. A man stands convicted of wiping out his entire family, his wife, his children, even the family dog, and yet he still claims he's innocent. Today, we're stepping into a sentencing hearing where emotions run high, truths collide, and the judge delivers words that hit harder than any verdict. But here's the question you need to keep in mind as you watch this unfold. Is this a case of denial or something even more disturbing? Stay with us, because what happens in this courtroom will change everything.
You're sentenced to life in prison. As to count 4 for the premeditated murder of your wife, Megan Denise Tote, you are sentenced to life. 2020 CF 149, based on the jury's unanimous verdict as to all counts. The court will now proceed to sentencing. Does the state wish to present any testimony from the surviving victim's family?
Yes, Your Honor. The state will call Cynthia Cobb.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
I don't think she needs
Okay.
sworn for this portion.
No. Thank you, Judge, for hearing me. My name is Cynthia Kopko. I am Megan's aunt and godmother to all her children, Alexander, Tyler Bear, that's what I called him, and Princess Zoe and Breezy. I just want to say that Megan lived her life. She had lots of empathy for everyone. Thank you. Lots of empathy for everyone. She had a giving heart. If her neighbors were sick, she would make them soup and bring it over. The kids were very, very talented. They played the piano. They would go, for years, they would go to convalescent homes and play recitals for them on special holidays, and they were in a lot of musical staged things. And when Alec wanted to learn how to play the violin, as they were learning, and Tyler Bear wanted to learn to play the folk guitar, they would still bring those instruments and play them for the people in the convalescent homes while they were learning them after their piano playing. They were very much, I had so many neighbors in the condo tell me how wonderful the boys were and Megan was, and how the boys would babysit and walk their dogs when they were away, and they trusted them fully. Megan and the dog and the children would go on for several walks, and she was very much involved in the academy school that the children went to, and did lots and lots. She was a physical therapist too, and did lots of projects and how all the fingers work with the tendons, and she had made strings so they could see how our hands move for a learning experience. And you know, I got them a microscope because I'm a nurse, so they could see different things in the microscope. They were just fun-loving. And all the children, I just have to say something about the communities that were affected. All the children in celebration that they played with, they had a beautiful basketball hoop, which was donated to the children, and they're going to make a little monument thing out of it. The children would ask their fathers, "Are you going to kill me at some time? Do you think you're going to kill me?" Because the children were, Megan's kids were just so fun-loving and giving and loved all their friends, and they came to the house, they did all kinds of things together. Went in the little playground areas and climbed things and slid and played games. And that's a lot of trauma for a child to ask their father, "Are you going to kill me too?" So they have to deal with those things now, that community. He crushed my parents. To the children, my mother was the great-grandmother. And they just loved going over there. My mom is 95 years old. And, we watched them grow up, and my father is 97. He has PTSD from World War II. Love the kids. They would take Megan and Tony on vacations just like family is family. But for a horrific tragedy like this to happen is a nightmare. It's been 2.5 years. I used to take Megan and the kids all on different vacations to Disneyland, and each child, each year, got to pick where they wanted to go, and we would go. We'd pack up and everything. Tony crushed his whole family by doing this. Everybody was mortified. We had a tough time dealing with it. I guess pretty much that's about it. But Megan was the gentlest person. She wouldn't even kill a bug, and she was just so kind, full of empathy. And I had warned Megan many times when we used to have things called girlfriend days, where it would be my mother, Megan, myself, and the kids, and we would say, we're going out for the day and we're going to get shoes for all the kids and we'll have lunch. But Megan would get called and she goes, oh, that's Tony. And I said, don't worry about it. We're in the middle of a conversation. 5 minutes later, he would call back again. And she said, oh my gosh. And then she would decline. And then he called me over and over just to get a hold of us to see what we were doing, where we were. And I picked up my phone and I said, stop harassing us. We're having a girlfriend day. You'll be the first to know if we're having any trouble. You'll be the first one we call. So that we could enjoy our day. And April of 2019, I had a talk with Megan because Tony had put on tremendous amount of weight over, a short period of time. And I said, Megan, I'm worried about Tony because he's put on so much weight. I would love to offer him to get ultrasounds of his carotids to make sure there's no blockage, and also of his heart and the coronary arteries to make sure there's not plaque or anything. And he always complained about his legs hurting. So I said, perhaps maybe he has a aortic aneurysm, which is like a weakening of the wall. Maybe he's not getting enough blood circulation. Because when he would sit down, he would just totally fall asleep. I hope I'm not boring you. But we loved Megan and the kids very, very much. And all I have is pictures and memories I can hold in my heart. And my parents miss them, and his parents miss them, and our families miss them very, very much. That's it, Judge.
Thank you, Ms. Cobb.
Thank you for listening to me.
Any additional survivor family victim statements?
No, Your Honor.
Does the defense care to give any statements prior to sentencing?
Do you want to address the court? You want to address the court? Shall we come to the lectern?
He can address the court from counsel table.
You can just move the mic closer.
He's welcome to stand.
This was a personal catastrophe in everybody's life in my family, including myself. I maintain my innocence. I provided for my wife, did everything I could for my wife. She was progressively sick over the years. There were days which were worse, days which were better. She was kept on a pedestal from me. My kids I did everything for them. The weight gain, Ms. Kopko has said, was because I negated myself. 2 to 3 hours of sleep a night because I would be treating my wife, doing for my wife, flying back and forth. I appreciated her medical concerns, and the reason why I would call so much is because Megan would have bad days, and I just needed to know she was okay. It wasn't a control factor. It wasn't any kind of scoping things out or whatnot. It was my fear that my fear that something was wrong with her, and I just needed to hear her voice making sure she was okay. I loved my wife. I loved my children. I was not there the night my children died. The kids and my wife woke up. Sorry. The Friday before all this happened, we got in a disagreement, and I begged her to go get help because she screamed at my son because he didn't do the pot, clean the pot. He let it soak per my instructions. This has been a progressive history since the miscarriage, her anger issues, her frustration issues, and it was directed mostly at me. And I took it. It's okay, because she held me partly responsible for getting her sick initially because I insisted she went to the hospital. I told her, after she finally decided to schedule a doctor's appointment on the Thursday after Thanksgiving, she canceled it. I found that out the night before. When she screamed at Tyler, the Friday the 13th, I told her that she has to the end of the month to see a doctor because she went to the alternative and spiritual and all this other route. Or I would get her aunt and my sister involved. After that, she once again held it quiet in public. Okay? She was very good at keeping it from the public. We went to the recital that they did for the convalescent home on the 13th. I was walking on eggshells. I don't like upsetting my wife. My wife was primary and foremost in my life, especially after she got sick. Finally, whatever day it was, and I apologize, I do not have the days because I was on a winter break. I went up to her one night and said, listen, I haven't treated you in a couple days. Just allow me to treat you. Allow me to work on you. And I tried a couple different techniques. As I was working, she was worried about me not loving her anymore. And I told her, no, the footprints. Remember the footprints poem? Sometimes you don't think I'm there, but I'm the one carrying you. I will do whatever you need to get ready. That's why I've supported you. She knew I didn't believe in this light and this other religion that she went into. But I supported her, because that's what a husband does. Everybody has a freedom to choose their own religions. Everybody has a freedom to choose their own acts. She fell asleep, very rested comfortably. I couldn't sleep. I went downstairs. Okay?
Judge Carson doesn't have the authority to overturn the jury's
No, I understand,
verdict.
but I need to let him know that everything was okay when she woke up the next morning. I kept the kids outside to keep her nice and stress-free. That's the only reason I left to go to the condo that night, because everything was good and there was an opportunity to get things done. As Ms. Kopko said, I fell asleep at a drop of a hat. I have this weight off my shoulders that my wife was feeling great. I went to charge the phone, and I fell asleep. I woke up afraid to be on eggshells or the doghouse again because we just reconciled. I ran back because I could not get the car started. It turns out my seat was too far back. And after that, everything happened. And I lived nothing but a nightmare. Every single suicide attempt, every single nightmare would come out. I relived every nightmare, would wake up, and would see, I was like, oh, that's a nightmare. Would see my family dead. I progressively tried to kill myself over and over and over again because I wanted to be with them. This altar they speak of was a homeschooling project from the week prior. That's all that was. There was no religious seance or anything whatsoever. It was nothing but about a homeschooling project that made my wife happy because we were talking about Egyptian pharaoh and pyramids. That's all we were talking about and what they bring in the afterlife.
This
So
is not helping you from this progress on, so I encourage you to.
I'm sorry. I love my wife. I love my kids. They were first and foremost in my life. I did not do this. I provided for my wife, provided for my kids, did everything I could. I understand the jury came back. I understand evidence wasn't heard. I don't remember that time, from the time I fell down the stairs to the time I woke up in the jail. I love my kids. I love my kids every day. It's only recently that I just stopped crying myself to sleep. My kids and my wife were everything to me. They were the center of my universe. When I came home, I was shattered. I appreciate you listening to me, sir, and I know you're in your situation. I did not do this. Thank you for listening to me, sir.
Any additional witness or testimony?
No, sir, Judge First.
Thank you. The court has been present during the presentation of evidence throughout the entirety of the trial. A jury has unanimously determined, after listening to the evidence presented, that you, Anthony John Todt, are a destroyer of worlds, that you destroyed the world of your 4-year-old daughter, Zoe Elizabeth Todt, that you destroyed the world of your 10-year-old son, Tyler John Todt, that you destroyed the world of your 13-year-old son, Alexander John Todt, that you destroyed the world of your wife, Megan Denise Todt. The jury has unanimously determined that you murdered each of them with premeditation based on the evidence presented in this room. As to count 1, first-degree murder of Zoe Elizabeth Todt, you are sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. As to count 2, for the premeditated murder of your son, Alexander John Todt, you are sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. As to count 3, for the premeditated murder of your son, Tyler John Todt, you are sentenced to life in prison. As to count 4, for the premeditated murder of your wife, Megan Denise Todt, you are sentenced to life in prison. Now, one of those lives was less valuable than the others. Those sentences will be imposed consecutively. You will be adjudicated guilty as to each count. For the murder of the family dog, you are adjudicated guilty and sentenced to the maximum sentence consecutive, which is 1 year in the county jail. You will get credit for any time that you have already served. Madam Clerk.
819 days.
Any costs will be reduced to judgment. The court will order restitution, reserve as to amount pursuant to statute. You have 30 days from today's date to appeal this judgment and sentence. If you wish to do so, you must do it in writing. If you can't afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. You'll be transferred to the Department of Corrections to serve your sentence. Anything further, State?
No, Your Honor.
Anything further, defense, at this time?
No, Your Honor.
That will conclude the trial and sentencing process. State.
What we just witnessed is one of the most devastating and emotionally charged sentencing hearings you can imagine. The jury unanimously found Anthony Todt guilty of premeditated murder, and the judge made it crystal clear this wasn't just a crime, it was the destruction of an entire family. Despite the defendant's emotional statement and continued claims of innocence, the court relied on the evidence presented throughout the trial, ultimately sentencing him to multiple life terms without parole. This case raises difficult questions. How do we process a tragedy like this? Do you believe his version of events, or does the evidence speak for itself? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Your perspective matters.